Hi sweet loves, welcome to part 3 of my Mercury Retrograde Retreat Debrief. First, I want to take just like a moment of silence for the 2 videos I had already recorded and edited and had ready to go, and Mercury Retrograde decided that she wasn't finished teaching me, and so they were permanently deleted, and now I'm re-recording them. But I'm feeling a lot of resistance around re-recording them, and I think the reason why I'm feeling so much resistance around recording them is because I've been on a bit of a high for the past couple of weeks. Obviously that really derailed my emotions, having those files deleted, but I've been on this like whirlwind of productivity, of flow, of ease, of learning and clarity and all of these things. It's just been like a lot happening in a really short period of time, and I was like really feeling this high energy, which is all great and good and totally valid and totally warranted. But I think what was happening is that I was also feeling some things underneath that high feeling was not overshadowing, but it was kind of clouding, and I needed these files to be deleted to kind of trigger this underlying process, this like almost last lesson I needed to learn, which is really surrendering to the process. It's really easy to feel high and to feel like things are really working out and really excited about things when everything is just like falling like dominoes. And that's the goal, right? Like that's what we're working towards. That's the whole thing I'm building with my business, is really creating this ease. One of the number one questions people are always asking me is like, oh, like how are you able to get so much done? Like how do you make things look so easy? And the simplest answer to that is because I trust my energy and I trust what's right for me. I don't do what everybody else is doing. I don't follow what everybody else suggests to do. And so that's really worked in my favor. And so that's what I'm trying to teach people now, is that life can be easy when you are aligned with your energy and when you trust your energy. But it's really easy to do that when things feel easy. It's really easy to do that when things are happening easily. But that's not reality. That's not our everyday life. That's not what happens all the time. So I think what I needed to learn as my last lesson in Mercury retrograde is how important surrendering to the process is. And I think that's why I was feeling a lot of resistance in re-recording these videos, is because I was still like white knuckling the fact that I had them recorded already. I was still white knuckling the fact that I had already done this, but that's not surrendering to the process. That's just me being stubborn and me thinking I know better. And the fact of the matter is I don't. The whole pinnacle of this process is trust. The whole center of this process is trust. It's trusting the process. It's trusting my authority, even when I can't make sense of it. We're not designed to make decisions with this. We're designed to make decisions with our authority. And my authority is my gut. My gut knows a lot more than I do. And I think that was kind of the last lesson I needed to learn in this process, was that when things aren't going, and I just saw 444, which is an angel number, which I had recorded in part 3, so I'm gonna have to get into that again. So even seeing that, that's my cue that like, yes, that's the lesson that I was meant to learn through this process, through losing those files. So all in all, I think that was the ironic last lesson I needed to learn in Mercury retrograde. Oh my god, I just have 555 now, so so yes. The universe is telling me that is what I was meant to learn, and why those videos were not meant to see the light of day. So I'm going to accept that. I'm going to surrender to the process. I'm going to re-record these videos, and even as I'm re-recording them, I feel my energy getting back into it. I'm surrendering to the process, and I feel like I'm being rewarded with that my energy is increasing. I am feeling liberated by it. So let's go into what I had already recorded from my notes. Before I get into this, I do want to say that this is a part 3, so if you haven't watched part 1 or 2, please go watch part 1 and 2. They all build off of one another, so make sure you go do that. So the biggest thing that I learned during my Mercury retrograde retreat is that I was spending a lot of time on my phone, like a lot of time on my phone, which was not anything new to me. I knew that I was spending a lot of time on my phone, but I was justifying it because I'm an online entrepreneur. While I'm doing research, while I'm interacting with my community, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But during Mercury retrograde, it really became highlighted to me, and I was actually able to see, feel, and witness the difference in my productivity, in my mindset, in my energy, in everything that I was doing. Like, I literally felt free, right? I felt free from this constraint of being attached to my phone, and it was really, really wild. And I have these spreadsheets that so here is one of them. These spreadsheets that I created using information from the High Performance Planner. So I bought the High Performance Planner on Amazon, which is a planner that Brendon Burchard created using like years of research on the top productivity people and like what they do and what questions they ask themselves and what routines they have and all of that kind of stuff. So what I did was I customized it, obviously, for myself. So I took some of the like analytical parts of the High Performance Planner and I created several spreadsheets for me to go through, and I put them in Asana with reminders of how often I need to go through them. And then I also went back into my A5 planner and created like a process for myself in my planner using inspiration, I should say, from the High Performance Planner in here. I also have like my new moon and my full moon rituals in here and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to see a walkthrough of my A5 planner, definitely let me know. If you want to see how I transformed the High Performance Planner into my A5 and into some spreadsheets, let me know and I can do a video walking through that. But I want to talk about this spreadsheet right here because it really, really highlights. This is why reflection is such an important part of the process, because if I didn't have anything like this, and I'm not saying, like, I love spreadsheets, that is really aligned with me. If spreadsheets are not your jam, find something else. Find what works for you. But reflection in and of itself is a really important part of the process, because if I didn't do this, if I didn't have some form of reflection, I wouldn't be able to see how drastic and how wild these changes were and how impressive my Mercury retrograde retreat experiment was. So this spreadsheet here tracks things like clarity, energy, productivity, all of that kind of stuff. And you can literally see here, clarity went from pre-Mercury retrograde 64%. That's how I felt about my clarity, which means like how intentional I was and how aligned I felt with my mission and, you know, how my feelings were and all of that kind of stuff. So I went from feeling about 64% in my clarity to post Mercury retrograde 92%. 92%. In that time, I went from 64% to 92%. That's a pretty wild jump. That's a pretty wild increase. And then on my productivity, I went from 60%. I went from feeling 60% productive with my time to feeling 90% productive post Mercury retrograde through having no social media on my phone, through really just like being intentional with my time, being intentional with how I was reacting to my phone and what I was doing with my time. Now, I don't want to confuse that with saying that like I had to be productive 100% of the time. I've really started to shift my mindset that if I have the plan to be lazy in a day, if my to-do list literally is like swing in the hammock all day and I do that, to me, I've been productive, because that rest component is a crucial part of the process, which, like I mentioned in part 2 with everything that I did, none of it felt forced. It's not about doing all the time, right? Like nothing felt forced, nothing felt pushed, and I still had a lot of downtime. Like I said, like I gardened, I bought some coloring books, I rested, I read a lot. I don't want you to look at this and think that like my Mercury retrograde was a success because I was so productive. For me, that really highlights that it was. But like I said, my definition of productivity has really shifted in my journey, and I don't think that just doing is productivity. Now, I really want to talk about some statistics that my phone gave me. So my first week of no social media on my phone usage went down 50%. 50. I got so many hours back in that first week of Mercury retrograde. And then the second week of Mercury retrograde, it went down another 24%. And then the third week of Mercury retrograde, it went down another 16%. So as the weeks were progressing, I was learning to be on my phone less and less and less. And I was getting used to the fact that I didn't have those social media applications on my phone. And what I really want to highlight is that Mercury retrograde showed me how much time I was actually wasting on my phone, thinking I was being productive. I mentioned this earlier, but really, what it really was is it was self-sabotage in disguise. It was self-sabotage in disguise to not work at taking myself and my business to the next level, staying in this comfort zone spot by being on my phone and not using all of this extra time to take myself to that next level. Look at everything I got done in the last 3 weeks, on top of being able to rest, right? On top of being able to enjoy my time and have that balance in my productivity. If I can do these quantum leaps every single Mercury retrograde, I can't even imagine where my journey is going to take me, because these last 3 weeks have just been so life-changing, mindset-changing, like everything. The next thing that I want to talk about is angel numbers. I mentioned twice that I had already seen 2 different angel numbers in this one recording when I was talking about the last lesson I think I needed to learn during this Mercury retrograde. And the thing is I've been seeing angel numbers multiple times a day, like multiple times a day for the last 3 weeks. And if you don't know what angel numbers are, it's a set of repetitive numbers. So I have the 1111 tattooed on me. The origin story of that is a really long story. If you want to hear the story of my 1111 tattoo, definitely let me know and I can record that for you. But essentially 1111 means on the right path. And so I got it tattooed on me to always remind myself that when I stay true to who I am, when I don't lose myself in another person, when I don't lose myself in other people or other things, when I really stay true to who I am, that's when the universe gives me the sign that I'm on the right path. This Mercury retrograde, I saw every single angel number and multiple angel numbers in a day. I would wake up in the morning, go brush my teeth, wash my face, look at my watch, 111 steps. Matthew would be explaining something to me and I would check out the time on his watch, 555. I would be preheating the oven to make one of my new delicious recipes that I found during Mercury retrograde. I would glance at the oven, preheated at 222 degrees. Anytime I could have seen an angel number, I did. And it wasn't even just the time, right? Like seeing these numbers everywhere. I remember this one I was reading on my Kobo and it said something like finish chapter 1 out of 11 or something. So right there was 111. It was just wild. And that was so affirming for me because it was like the universe was practically screaming at me, yes, this is what you are supposed to be doing. Yes, this is how this is supposed to feel. Yes, this is the processes that are working for you. So now, like really learning and absorbing that and understanding that when I do what is right for me, when I actually don't let my ego get in the way, when I don't self-sabotage, when I actually get out of that comfort zone, get out of that box that I've placed myself in, that's when the universe is like, yeah, bitch, this is what you're supposed to be doing. The last thing I kind of want to talk about is that I became a boundary enforcing queen. And I also think there's another little mini lesson that I was meant to add into the third part of this recording. I really learned how to say no to wasn't serving me anymore. Really saying yes to honoring my commitments to myself. I stopped giving in certain places where I felt like I wasn't being appreciated anymore. I stopped allowing others to take advantage of my generosity and my knowledge. I started delegating tasks that I didn't always need to be doing, but I was doing them. And the thing that I mentioned that was probably a little mini lesson was I took myself to the cottage for Wednesday and Thursday. I didn't realize that Thursday was a holiday, so I didn't realize that Matthew had work off, and he asked if he could come. And instead of actually spending the time and asking myself like, hey, are you actually okay with this? I was just like, yeah, like, why not? I love spending time with Matthew. I love being around Matthew. Not thinking that like, hey, you actually took this time because you need to be by yourself. right? Like you need to honor your energy and you want it to be alone. So I think that was another little mini lesson that I wanted to include in what I learned during Mercury retrograde, is that like my nature is so giving instinctually that like when people want to join me or people want to come, my immediate reaction is yes, right? Like, yeah, come be with me, come be in my energy, come be a part of this, instead of actually like taking a step back and be like, but what do I actually want? Like, yeah, I always want to be a giving person, but I have to honor myself first. I have to prioritize my energy first. That's when I'm best able to give to other people. That's when I'm best able to be of service. And I didn't do that. And then again, I was triggered by those files being deleted and my energy just went downhill. So I think hindsight's 2020. I was so upset about losing those videos. I was so upset about like white knuckling the fact that I lost them, and I was being so stubborn about it. But I really think I needed to learn these extra 2 lessons, that I need to surrender to the process even when things aren't going my way. And B, really stopping just like giving and stopping and asking myself, like, what do I need in this moment? Like, am I honoring myself by saying yes to this, or am I just saying yes to this because I'm just a giving person, or I've been conditioned to just like always want to give to people, right? That open heart that I have, that open heart center. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this part 3. I obviously needed to add in those 2 extra lessons of what Mercury retrograde taught me. I hope that you're learning lots from this. I hope that it is resonating with you and really inspiring you to want to make the most of your Mercury retrograde. And the next part of the series, part 4, is going to be talking about what you can expect from me and my business moving forward, because I've made some changes. So if you're interested to see what you can expect from me moving forward, stay tuned for part 4. Fuck, it's hot out. No. Oh, I should have included that at the beginning. God, these are so small.